If there's anything we know about Charles Hoskinson, the ADA Cardano founder, is that he's super passionate about what he's building with Cardano, and he is not afraid to speak his mind. He regularly goes on his own YouTube channel talking about basically anything and everything. In fact, right now, he's chasing aliens, which the crypto billionaire, of course, used to be with Ethereum, left Vitalik Buterin to create Cardano. Cardano's been a top 10 crypto worth multi-billions of dollars since 2017. And recently, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding Cardano as a security or not. And a lot of that controversy is surrounding the ICO process, or the initial coin offering process. Now, here's the thing. Basically, here's what's happening. The SEC is going after all cryptocurrencies that had an ICO, that had an initial coin offering. Why? Because, well, basically, people were able to pad their wallets beforehand as private investors, and the SEC says, hey, that's okay if you're labeled a security, right? If you want to be a private investor like institutions do in the stock market, that's great, but it's got to be a security. It's got to be labeled a security and has to abide by those rules and regulations, and then put out there to the public for open trading, right? Of course, there's not a lot of clarity around crypto assets. Should they be looked at the same way? We don't know, right? The SEC just kind of ruling with an iron fist here, and maybe waited until things got really big to crack the whip. But that's neither here nor there. That's not really the important part of this video. We've talked about that, though, and some others. But this one has more to do with just Hoskinson kind of battling critics now. And, you know, you can have your arguments here. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it a good look, a bad look for Hoskinson to kind of fly off the handle? Here's one thing I do know. Good press, all press is good press, right? And I think there's some merit to that here. We're always talking about him. We're always talking about Cardano. And going back to that ICO thing real quick, actually, I didn't finish my thought there. So with the ICO issue there, here's Hoskinson's defense, right? And here's how he's defending Cardano. Yes, we had an ICO, but it wasn't in America. It was in Japan, and it was. So, and I think they did that strategically because they didn't know how the SEC or other governing bodies would look at that. But back to this one here on screen. So Hoskinson has addressed the co-founder of Valkyrie Tech, who claimed that the, quote, issuance of Cardano was illegal, and he may be prosecuted for it. Almost 2 weeks ago, the SEC claimed that Cardano's native token ADA is a security, but Charles Hoskinson, the founder of IOG, whose team created Cardano, rejected those allegations. ADA is a security. Its team made a lot of money on it. This is coming from Stephen McClurg. Twitter user Swan.ada published part of a recent podcast hosted by Mario Nafal and crypto trader Scott Melker, in which co-founder of Valkyrie, Stephen McClurg, was one of the guests. Now, Mario, him and I follow each other actually on Twitter. He's become the #1 host of Twitter Spaces on the entire platform. It's pretty crazy. I've watched him grow. We knew each other way back when he was into NFTs pretty heavily. But when asked about crypto and securities, he stated that he believes many cryptos will be securities under U.S. law, and Cardano's ADA to be among them as one of the biggest coins that have been mentioned by the SEC recently. Now, some of those other ones, of course, Polygon and Solana, were highlighted there as well, listed as securities by the SEC. Of course, these still have to go through a lot of different legal proceedings, right? It's not the end-all, be-all just because the SEC claims that these are securities. Now, in particular, McClurg mentioned the way Cardano was issued and distributed, going back to that initial coin offering, ICO phase, adding that Hoskinson and the dev teams made a ton of money on selling ADA. McClurg does not believe, though, that Cardano should be sued and ADA creators prosecuted. Builders of the apps on the blockchain should/would be affected. And this is coming from Swan.ada in a tweet. It says, IOHK Charles, that's right at Charles Hoskinson, you're being accused from Stephen McClurg that your issuance of Cardano was illegal and you'll be prosecuted for it. Are you going to address those accusations? And Hoskinson did address those accusations. He said, notice they never use facts or fully explain. Also, who registers? What gets filed and disclosed? Hoskinson, of course, firing back here on Twitter. A week ago, when refuting the SEC's allegations about Cardano being a security, Hoskinson went on Twitter again, tweeting that the original financing came from Japan when the blockchain launched in 2015. Now, I will say this, the argument here still remains, if Hoskinson and company made a ton of money on the initial coin offering, the ICO phase, some critics will still stand on that argument, but I'll go back to say this. When Hoskinson conducted an ICO for Cardano in Japan, the blockchain earned the nickname Japanese Ethereum. It was huge in Japan. The SEC accused ADA of being a security that was sold on Binance and Coinbase, among other securities, but there was no precedent set here by the SEC. There was no rules or regulations. So you could sit back and say today that they shouldn't have done it that way, and they made a ton of money that way in doing it, but there was no rule against it. There was no law against it, right? Nothing set in stone. When the regulator sued these major exchanges recently, claiming they have violated U.S. securities laws, this is the recent crackdown from the SEC. Some have also been accusing Hoskinson of searching for aliens in the Pacific Ocean recently, which there are some reports out there, therefore stating they would rather invest in blockchains but not Cardano. In reality, Hoskinson has been on an expedition to look for interstellar meteor that fell into the ocean recently. That is a meteor that has been reported that fell in the ocean. They were looking for pieces of it. So that's what we've got here in this update. Hoskinson continues to be very adamant about Cardano and their ICO phase and how it went down. It's going to be a long, long process, right? We're going to be covering this for a very long time. No doubt about it. There's going to be a lot of twists and turns with this story. And it doesn't just go for Cardano. It goes for Polygon and Solana and basically anybody who had an initial coin offering, that are big cryptos. Those are going to be points of attack here for the SEC. We'll see how it all plays out. I'm still a huge Cardano investor, by the way. I have not sold any of my ADA. It's still my number 3 position. I think, no matter what, these big blockchains are going to survive with or without the U.S. And it's just a shame that this is how it has to go down, right? But I don't think it's all over, right? Better days will be ahead. So appreciate you guys so much, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace out.